Hello, welcome to Engaging Students in Teams. And our focus today is more on teams in general. So it could be for more asynchronous work than synchronous. The last video was focused on helping students be engaged during Teams calls. How do you work with students and build community when you're not on a call, when it's not live with students? Again, my name is Nathan Wells. I'm the Senior Manager of Customer Engagement for I2E. I2E, Insight to Execution, is a ed tech consultancy company working both with companies that work with schools and with schools directly. We're a Microsoft Global Training Partner, and today we're representing that with our video around using Microsoft Teams. You can find out more at i2eedu.com. You can also follow us on social media. Myself, I'm at EdTechWells. And you can find out more about Microsoft Education at Microsoft EDU. So today we're going to look through the engaging students in Microsoft Teams. We're going to organize our class team in a meaningful way. And we're going to look at how we can add apps and how we can be working together with students and with different things, but staying in the team. How does that work? So let's quickly make sure we're on the same page when it comes to the class team. This is the main layout of a Microsoft class team. And in here you can see that I have a couple of different spaces. So I'm going to call out some of these spaces quickly for us. I'm going to grab a pen. And over here on the left-hand side, we call this the Me space. This is where you're going to get notifications that are unique to you. This is where you can get to things like the calendar that is unique to your account, assignments that are unique to your account, chats that you start or that somebody sends directly to you that are unique to you. So this is the Me space. This big, we'll call it the white area right now, white-gray area, is what we refer to as the We space. So this is where you're going to see the whole class. You're going to see everybody's chats. You're going to participate in class notebooks that have spaces for everybody. It's the We space. You're going to see all your teams listed in this area. Inside each team, we have things called channels. You can organize teams in different ways. You can start conversations at the bottom. There are things you can add to the conversations. You can share files, either just going to the Files tab or within a conversation. And you have different tabs you can add across the top to help students organize and find things quickly across there. We're not going to talk as much in this video about Class Notebook because we do have a video specifically around organizing and using OneNote Class Notebook with your class. But you can get to your Class Notebook from here, and you can get into assignments and grades. It's kind of our general class team setup. So specifically, when we look at Microsoft Teams channels, what do the channels look like and how does this work? So you can click on each channel and see some unique things. So when we think about how are we engaging students when we're not necessarily on a live call, think about how you can use channels. Channels could be a place where they're finding materials for assignments, but it could be a place where they also have a space to engage in conversations with their peers. Maybe you have clubs or interest group channels. So think about how you can engage students in that way. Each channel has a unique set of conversations or conversation space, has a unique section for files, and has a unique section for notes that are like your collaboration space in your OneNote Class Notebook, and they're tied to that. So how can you use those channels to organize your class, but to also give students the space to find things that they need and to engage in conversation, working with you, working with each other. When we add channels, that's through the main area. So there's the three ellipses here. That's where we can click on that. We can add the channel and we can manage the team. So maybe there's certain things that we want or don't want students to be doing in channels. We can do that under Manage Your Team, Manage Settings. Also, when we add a channel, we have an option to add it as private or general, so it's open to everybody. Private will have a padlock beside it, and you can invite specific students to that channel, and the other students won't even know that that channel exists. They'll only show up to those invited to it. So you could do that for certain projects or for a reading group you need to pull or something like that. Now, our channels, I mentioned you have general. General is the main channel that everybody sees. This, you can't change the title of this. This is just the main channel. Everybody sees this when they first come. The unique thing here is this is where you're going to see class notebook assignments and grades are only in the first channel, the general channel. Here's the padlock of what I call the private channel. So this one is specific. This is where you're pulling students. This is where you're maybe doing a meeting of concern notes, where you're wanting to meet and discuss a student's progress or things that they're doing with another teacher, or you're going to keep those notes, you're going to pull that student aside. You can do that there. You can have private channels for students' plans for success or future plans, where you're working on what they're going to be doing next. You could have side channels for those. Those could also be in students' individual OneNote class notebook sections, though, as well. Now, the owner can create these channels, can use these in different ways, whether it's grading periods, small groups, collaboration. And in these channels, we can quickly add channels as we need to. We can archive channels. We don't have to keep the same channels all the time. We set it in the ellipse and click Add Channel. You can also edit that. You can delete certain aspects of it. You can edit the team from this main ellipse. You can edit the picture. You can edit the team name from here, clicking Edit Team. We mentioned the add channel, so I need to give it a name each time, a description. I can change the privacy. This is where I can do that, the little drop down, and I can make this standard where everybody sees it. This is the most general one, or the private where it's got that padlock, like we saw before by ELD. Reply to a post. So in your team, how are you engaging students to work in your team? How are you wanting them to work with you? How are you wanting them to work on their own? And how do you want them to work together? So sometimes a way to do that is through an announcement. An announcement is a great way where you're typing in a normal conversation, but if you click the little A, if you can see my red circle at the bottom left of the screen, the A with the little pencil beside it, that pops up further options and you can choose announcement. And that's how we got this big green banner here. You can choose the background and it kind of pops up and gets more attention brought to it so that students see there's something to pay attention to here. And this is a great place to ask a question, to pose something that's coming that's maybe they need to not miss out, that they need to pay attention to. This is a great place for you to get students' attention, to ask them to do something. And you notice this is in a separate channel, so this is connections and celebrations. So this is a fun channel where you can connect with students, so you can get them to pay attention to certain things. This is specifically from a training with other teachers, which is a great way to do that with staff as well, but you could do that with students. How could you have a celebrations channel or a birthdays channel, or think of a fun way that you could pull a channel to have it specifically for fun things for students, to encourage them to engage with them in something that's more fun, something you would do in the classroom, but maybe is harder to do in remote learning. Maybe try to use a channel for that. Another thing we can do in posts is we can have students share their work and get peer feedback. So think about your students, think about assignments you've done with your students. What are some ways you can get students to use peer feedback to work with each other? You can have students post their presentation, post their paragraph they wrote, whatever it is, depending on, think of the grade level that you teach. How can you have students post that and then learn how to look through a peers? I would provide a rubric for them, and they look through their peers and they look for certain things and they leave constructive criticism and they leave feedback that is useful, helpful, and shows you that those students understand what to look for and will become better writers, better creators of presentations because of that, because they're working on it themselves. I mentioned the announcements, but one way you can use announcements is doing it like the day's expectations, or what's coming up. This could be a great place, especially for younger learners, for all learners, but if you think of younger learners and they have family members sitting next to them helping them, post an announcement with what to expect that week. And maybe it has a checklist, or it ties to the OneNote class notebook, and they can pull the checklist from their notebook and be able to check it off as they complete them. So posting announcements is really helpful for that. And again, click to the A and then chose announcement. And then when you do that, you can choose an image here that gives the little background for what they're going to do. You notice you can post it in multiple channels. So if you have it broken by small group or you have it for different project groups, you can post it in all the channels at once that have the same announcements. You only have to type it one time, kind of like assignments. Channel meetings. So this is where if I have specific channels that I want to have meetings in, so maybe I have project groups by channel. This example is a professional development class. And so this was our class team that had a professional learning goal, and we were working with a group the whole time. And I put the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in front of each one to organize it in the order I wanted because it's alphanumeric. And then I can have meetings. I can schedule them or go to Meet Now from within each of these channels and have those meetings specific to the channel. Now, because these don't have the little padlock beside them, they're open to anybody in the team. But if a group knows that they're supposed to be meeting in their channel to have access to their materials within their channel, so it could be the unique files, the unique posts, the unique notes that are specific to that channel, then we can have the meeting there and it's all tied together with the call right there in that channel. And that's a good organizational piece, especially if you're doing a project channels or small group channels, to have students meet in that channel because you've already put the posts in there, you've already put the files in there, you already have conversations started, maybe the notes for the collaborative section in that channel. So do your meetings there, and then you have access to all of that as part of the meeting. And you can use even the whiteboard tool you could add in and have those pieces added to that channel. And it provides students another way to stay organized, keep everything in one place, working together so it's not as hard for students to find things. Now you can also do apps in Teams. So there's some apps that are kind of just built in and are easy to find. If you click the 3 dots in Microsoft Teams in the Me space, you can search for certain apps. One of them is called Reflect. So the Reflect app is focused on SEL. How are you feeling? What are students struggling with? Things that you can support them with. Another app that you can add is Forms. So you create Microsoft Forms just going to office.com and selecting Forms and creating forms in the web. But if those are in your account, if you go to the 3 dots and type in Forms, you now can add in a Forms right into the conversation space. And then students can fill out the form right there and it'll be graded for you. Or if it's just a form survey type question, you can have the graph of the end results pop up there if you're asking students to vote on something or their opinion on something. So you can have those things pop up right there. So there's other apps that you can add in. Those are just 2 examples of apps that you can have as a part of that. Another place that you can add in these are in the tabs. So across the top, the default in the general channel is post files, class notebook, assignments, and grades. But I can click the plus and I can add a web page. I can add Wakelet right here. I can add FlipGrid right here. I can add in other tools so my students aren't having to go out to a web page. They're not having to leave Microsoft Teams. It's all contained right here. So you click the plus, you can click either website or another specific app that you've built into there, and you can add that right there, and those are called tabs. So again, the defaults, post files, class notebook, assignments, grades. And you can see this one, they actually added a Word document. So you could add a tab that's a Word document so students don't have to go find it in files. If it's something they need to be referring to constantly or is specific for that time, you can post that Word document, say click on it, and they see the whole Word document right there in the team. And then when that unit, when that lesson is over, you can remove it. You can right-click remove. And maybe you add a new one. So you can see there's a little drop down here. This teacher's actually added a couple more. So you can pin things here like documents or PDFs, web pages, other apps that you might use like FlipGrid, and you can add them right into there. When you click on the plus, you get this little search box that pops up and you can search. You can choose from some defaults that pop up towards the top. I mentioned Word. You could put in a different OneNote than your class notebook, an Excel, a PDF, website. So if you were using something like Wakelet, I would just click website and then put in the URL to the specific Wakelet you want them to join, or FlipGrid, Buncee, Quizlet. There's others you can add in there, and website is going to be the way that you do that. ThingLink is another one I've used. So those are some things that you can tab and just put in there really quickly. There's over 60 third-party apps in here, so just look for the ones that you use and are easiest for you. Discovery, Ed Streaming, Nearpod, Kahoot, Pear Deck, Wakelet, Quizlet, Buncee. There's a bunch of them that are added in here. And then the default Microsoft apps are in there. Stream is one that I probably would say is actually really underutilized. This is where you can be creating videos. You could be recording parts of your Microsoft team meetings, or maybe you just do a team meeting by yourself and record it. Whenever you record a Teams meeting, it is automatically uploaded into Microsoft Stream. So grab the recording from Stream, get the link, and post it as a tab. And so now students can quickly go back and review the lesson, review a meeting they missed, or something you just did a meet now by yourself in Teams. You had no students join, and maybe you're just sharing your screen, doing a 4 or 5 minute screencast. You could do it through a Teams meeting, and it'll save to Stream. And you can add it as a tab. So it's a quick way to leave those recordings, to have your students be able to find those quick videos and be able to have them at their fingertips. So we mentioned FlipGrid. So FlipGrid can be embedded in Teams, and you can see here it has the name of the grid, of the topic, right there in the tab. And students can now open it, and you see, if you're familiar with FlipGrid, it looks just like you're on the web page. The only difference is you're inside of a Teams channel, and you have these Teams options at the top. But I can scroll through, I can click the Record Now icon. I can see other students have recorded theirs, so I can see what they've recorded. I can hear them, I can record new ones, I can comment. Just like if I was in the flipgrid.com website, I can do it right here. FlipGrid does have some great Teams scenarios. So if you go to flipgrid.com/TeamsK12, you can see some scenarios that are specifically built for using within Teams, and get some new ideas and find out what other people are doing. It's a great place to find out what others are doing. If you go to flipgrid.com and go to the Disco library, that's another place where they're always sharing ideas, and you can see how other educators are using FlipGrid. Pull in some of those into Teams and have it all in one place. Again, the idea with the tabs is you're wanting to engage students when you're not in a live call, so make it as easy as possible for them to be a part of the lesson. So bringing everything into one place helps that engagement, helps them be a part of what's going on and stay together. I mentioned the forums. Here's a quick screenshot of how to do that. So if I'm in a live call, I click the comment button. If I'm just in a conversation, I would just go to the conversations, click the 3 dots, and I can add in a form. So it makes it really quick and easy to add those in. So how do we encourage engagement? How do we encourage engagement both during a synchronous lesson? I should have put also during an asynchronous lesson. Synchronous, the idea is think of how old your participants are, and that's a limit, especially for our little guys. That's the absolute limit of how much instruction they can take uninterrupted. So what are you going to do to divide up your time? If you have a 30-minute call with your students, you're not going to talk for 30 minutes straight and keep them engaged. If you have students working on something independently in asynchronous time, what is your lessons that you're providing? Are you providing videos for them to watch? How long are those videos? Should you be adding in chances for students to take a break, to answer a question, to do something a little bit more fun or engaging in a visual way, in an auditory way, and something they're reading? How are you using multimodal opportunities for them to engage in the content, engage in what you're teaching? The advantage of having OneNote class notebook embedded in Teams is you have a place for them to draw, to record audio, to type, all in one place. How do you take advantage of that? Pause during certain areas, build in times during asynchronous learning where students can get so far in the lesson, then you ask them to give you some feedback. Draw a picture of what you just read. Write a 5-word summary of what you just learned about. What did you hear in the video? Give them a chance to react. Put in a forms poll in the conversation area. Ask students to use an emoji to explain how they're understanding or what they got out of that. You can run quizzes, whether it's Kahoot or something else, Gimkit, some of these that have both live options and asynchronous options. Give students a chance to try those in different formats and keep them engaged whether you're on the call or not. Give them opportunities to engage. Use FlipGrid so in that asynchronous time where they can hear from their peers, but you can also have a chance at different times throughout a day to go in and check those, leave feedback. FlipGrid's added a lot of new options lately where you can go in and leave feedback in lots of different ways and use different formats. You can use FlipGrid to record yourself and then post that video in the tab. So it's just you and they don't have to worry about recording something themselves necessarily. It's a great way to do another format where you could create a screencast, create a quick video, a quick how-to, a quick greeting. Use that morning meeting time where you're recording yourself of just the announcements for the day. How are you building in those routines where students always know to look for your video? Maybe it's on every Monday or it's daily, whatever that might be. How are you engaging students in your content? So what are some things you can try now? Organize your team. Think about how your channels are going to be set up. Go through and think about your content that's coming. What are some ways you can use those channels to help students know where to go? It's expected, it's routine, they know what to look for, they know what to click on, where they can find their files, where they can find the relevant conversations. Use an announcement. Use the announcement feature to announce what's coming that day, that week. Help them know what to go to and how to find things. Add a tab that's more connected to a fun activity. Maybe it's a fun FlipGrid where they're just sharing their pet or sharing their favorite toy, and get them to interact with each other in a fun peer-to-peer socialization type of way. What else will you do to engage your students in Microsoft Teams? I hope all of these have given you some ideas, given you some new strategies, some different ways to think through how to engage your students in Microsoft Teams. Go and try out some of these. Come back, let us know on social media what you've tried, what you're going to do next. Share at Microsoft EDU and at I2E EDU. What have you done? What have you tried? Ask questions. We're both very quick to respond on social media. Ask questions and we'll try to get to you. If you want more feedback on Microsoft Teams training, on using Teams in hybrid and remote learning, go to education.microsoft.com. There are specific learning paths in there, and I would say the one called hybrid learning has great strategies in there and great ways to use the tools that aren't specific to hybrid learning. There's great strategies in there around using it for strictly remote and for using Teams in the classroom as well. So check out those courses, see what's listed there. If you'd like to stay up to date on what we're doing and hear from great educators from around the world, I would encourage you to sign up for our Insights newsletter at register.i2eedu.com/news. We love to hear from you. Maybe you could be highlighted in the next Insights newsletter. Let us know. Reach out again at I2EEDU, or you can find me at EdTechWells. I'd love to hear about what you're doing in your class. What is your school doing? What is something unique that you've tried and had success with? What are some neat programs that are going on in your area? How are you reaching your community in a remote environment? Or maybe you're back to learning. How is your school, how is your families adapting to being back in person? What are some things that you've tried? What are unique things? We appreciate your time. Thanks for watching today. If you're looking for kind of what else you can look for, we have a whole series around using Microsoft tools in both remote and in-person settings. Our next video you could check out. Today we talked about this mostly focused on asynchronous, so not in a live engagement of students. But what about those strategies for engaging students in live calls? And I encourage you to check out our video engagement in Teams calls, where we talk more about the synchronous, the live time you're working with students, and talk about some strategies for breakout rooms, some strategies for getting students to respond during the meeting, and how can we get students to continue to keep coming back. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today.